right, so welcome back, and we're going to be reading from Lives of the Musicians, and the author is Catherine Krull, K-R-U-L-L, and Catherine Hewitt is the illustrator. And we've read about Vivaldi, and today we're going to read about Bach. He was born in Germany in 1685, and he died in Germany in 1750. Boys and girls, these are just getting a little bit too long. When they go to 5 minutes, they're super hard to upload. So some of the story, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit, so I did want to say that, okay? So I'm not reading always directly from the text because it does get a little lengthy. So as a young music teacher, Bach was walking out one night, and 6 of his students attacked him because they wanted an apology. Apparently, Bach had called one of them a nanny goat bassoonist, and a bassoon is an instrument. It's very hard to play. And so it's basically saying it's someone who sounds like a goat when they're playing their bassoon. But Bach wouldn't take it back, and they got into a ruffle, but finally things got broken up and nobody was hurt. So basically the point of the story is that all of his life Bach had trouble getting along with people who didn't see things his way. He once wanted to quit a job, and his employer, who was a duke, wanted him to stay, and Bach was so insistent that the duke actually threw him in jail because they could do that back then. But here's the difference between Bach and a usual stubborn person. During that time he spent in jail, he wrote 46 pieces of music. And we still listen to that music 300 years later. How could Bach have ever thought of becoming anything but a musician? He's the largest family tree. He has the largest family tree in music. Almost all his male relatives are musicians. All 76 and all 53 of them were named Johann. When he was young, his mom would read the Bible to him. His dad taught him violin, sometimes late into the evening, because remember, they didn't have electricity, they didn't have electronics, they didn't have TV and all that stuff. Both of his parents had passed away by the time he was 10, so he went to live with his brother. He was able to support himself by the time he was 15. He sang and took organ playing jobs in towns nearby. One time, he was so dedicated that sometimes he would have blisters on his fingers. Once he walked 200 miles to hear a great organist. Now, think about this. Walking to Flagstaff would be 150 miles, so then it would be like going an extra 50 miles once you got to Flagstaff, on foot, long walk. Bach spent his whole life in one small part of Germany. He was married twice, first to Maria Barbara, and then she passed away, and he married Anna Magdalena. She was a good singer and a keyboard player. And she also helped Bach with his work to the point that her handwriting came to look just like his. He wrote 1,200 musical pieces. He fathered 20 children, 10 who lived to adulthood. 5 were named Johann, 2 were named Johanna, and 4 grew up to be famous composers themselves. In his free time at night, he would just sit in his armchair with his baby in his lap, and they would sing music. The other thing, he loved food, and he loved coffee. In fact, once he wrote a cantata about coffee. Among his most prized possessions were 2 silver coffee pots. Bach was known as a dazzling organist. His strong legs pumped the pedals, his large hands performed acrobatics on the keyboards, and he used a stick in his mouth to reach certain notes. That would have been funny to see. But he wasn't a show-off. He used to say, "There's really nothing remarkable about my playing. All you have to do is hit the right key at the right time, and the instrument plays itself." Later in life, Bach went blind, probably from copying his own music in poor light for so many years. He died of a stroke when he was 65. Hardly any of his music was published while he was alive, nor did he expect it to be. Bach didn't think his writing was for posterity, like forever and ever. He was a professional, and his music had immediate purpose. So not until about 100 years later, after his death, did the genius of Bach begin to be widely recognized. And just as a little trivia, there were 2 Voyager spacecrafts that were launched into the solar system in 1977, and they put all kinds of things into those spacecrafts about our culture, and they both contained 3 pieces by Bach, along with special recording playing equipment. So I'm going to show you the caricature of Bach, and here he is. And I miss you, and I'll see you next time.